Dan Savage, OrlandoMagic.com.
Cliff, the OMYF donated $1 million today to local kids charities, with 700,000 coming from the DeVos family. Just how critical is that, especially in current times?
I think I think what the DeVos family did is unbelievable, and this is obviously it's a great concept. One of the things in our organization we should all be proud of, but even more so this year, where you have so many people out there who are, worried about paying rent, or even worried about having enough food for their families. And, as a result of that, the fundraising, even internally here isn't what it normally would be in typical years. And for the family to step up like that, like they always do, just shows, what how committed they are to our community. And think about $1 million, how much that can help so many families who need it badly.
Josh Robbins, The Athletic.
Steve, we're nearing the 1-year anniversary of the final almost pre-pandemic game, your team's game in Memphis on March 11th March 10th last year, I think. What are your recollections from that night and that whole scene?
Yeah, well, I mean, that night, that was actually that was the end of a 4-game road trip, right? Where I believe we had lost in Miami, one in Minnesota, one in Houston, and then played really well that night in Memphis and won. Terrence hit a big 3 late. And so it was, we were starting to play our best basketball at that time. And that night, I believe, was it that night or the next night that it was that night?
It was the next night.
It was the next night, right? Yeah. Because we were coming home, and, from that point on, we had a schedule that you could look at it and say, if we play well here, I think we had 4 out of 5 coming up at home. And I believe 3 of those were against teams that were almost mathematically eliminated from playoffs. So everything was right there in front of us. And then the next night, obviously, there were some issues with the games, and then, we didn't play again until the bubble. So that part I remember. I mean, listen, I think when we all look back at this, everybody involved in our league, it's, the uniqueness of what we've been through in the past year and are going through now. You're never going to forget. I mean, the bubble was an incredibly challenging and unique situation for everybody. This is harder. This is harder. What the players are going through. Again, I think that what happens is, in my opinion, one of the things the pandemic has done is it just wears everybody out. I know that's, you could say, but then for the players, they have to come back every night. So, like if we practice tomorrow, I don't know if people understand, they have to come in the morning, they have to get tested, they practice, and then they have to come back every night after 5:30. They get tested twice. Everybody else always gets tested once. And so I just think all of those things add up, and it's challenging. I think our league is super organized. And I'll be honest, I did a lot of thinking today. We had this extra hour. I'm really proud of our guys, to be honest, with everything we've been through. I'm proud of the way they played in the bubble. I'm super proud of the way they've competed to this point. I was talking to one of my mentors last night, and, I was just saying, like, what, we need to win this game and we need time off. And he said, also, you should be damn proud of your team. The way they've competed. Our guys have hung in there so far, and we have to win. I'm not saying trying hard enough is not what this league is all about. You have to try hard. That's what we're paid for. We have to win. But to this point, if you really want to be fair and look at the whole thing, it's hard not to say they've done a good job.
That night in Memphis, Steve, did it ever occur to you that was going to be the final game before a seismic shift in the way all of us live our lives?
No, I mean, I think we were all concerned about where we were going, right? Because the virus was out there, and, obviously as a country, we're trying to get organized and how we were going to attack it or prevent it or whatever, get through it, I guess might be the best way to do it. But certainly, I don't think anybody in our league had an idea that we were going to have to stop playing that soon.
Christos Salza, Sport DNA.
Oh, coach, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. It is the last game of the first half of the season for you. What do you expect to see, and how you evaluate so far the journey of your team?
Well, I mean, listen, again, I have a list of things that, I'm going to try to study and look at over these next few days. I'm going to take some time and relax too, but there's things every year that you can use the All-Star break for to help your team get better. Last year we all studied over the All-Star break and we came up with two things: play quicker and screen better. And it helped our offense a ton, not just a little bit, a ton. There's always little things. You can just sit, and watch film for 2-3 hours a day. You can learn things that can help you. But again, the number one thing that we've done poorly so far as a team, which is why we're at, is we've gotten injured. You have to know. Okay, now there's other things. There's transition defense. We're turning the ball over too much. But the number one thing that's happened to our team is a bunch of really good players have all gotten hurt at the same time. And so you have to know why you're at, where you're at. You have to know why you're there. And then you have to figure out the best way to improve going forward. So, for me, the other things are a problem: transition defense, turning the ball over, protecting the rim, things like that we've been good at in the past. We can fix those, but you also have to know why you're at where you're at. And so far it's injury driven. There's nothing wrong. You have to know. You can't be guessing. And, that's what I came up with today.
Dan Savage, OrlandoMagic.com.
Cliff, in regards to those injuries, saw that Evan Fournier won't play tonight. How is he doing? And, how much of him, resting tonight is also with his back and then having the All-Star break coming up?
Yeah, all of that. And I actually think with Evan, we're lucky. It's things, a combination of things is similar really to James Ennis, where again, a condensed schedule, guys playing big minutes, not having much chance to rest in between games. And I think that it could have been a lot worse. So I think that actually, we got lucky there. And hopefully, with this, we'll have a week or so off here. It'll be good for him and he'll be ready to go by the time we go to Miami next week.
Paulo Uggetti, The Ringer.
Steve, I'm just wondering, given that it seems like, there's going to be a lot of games in the second half of the season, and you mentioned the injuries, is there something you can do during the break, or how can you prepare for that kind of, grueling second half of the season, just given everything that's going on and the amount of games that need to be played?
Well, it's funny because I have a list. It's up on the whiteboard up in my office, and it's exactly that. That's one of the things I'm going to think about here over these next 2 or 3 days is best use of time. Best way to attack this schedule. How do we have the right amount of energy for the games, the right intensity for the games? How do we get better? That's one of the things that, lack of practice time has hurt us. There's no question about that. And there's going to be very little practice time here the second half of the season. But to me, it's best use of time, be it ballroom walkthroughs, film sessions. How are we going to do it? But it's just something that I think you have to put thought into. I'm fortunate in that I have a veteran staff. They're going to be thinking about the same things. And then, we'll come in early next week and try to find out ways that, again, that we can do those things, play well, win games, and get better.
Alex Fleming, Florida Sun.
I believe that next game was the Chicago Bulls. It was supposed to be on a Thursday from the Josh Robbins question. Lloyd Pierce was blindsided. He was fired recently. Boogie Cousins has been let go of the Houston Rockets. Things move fluid in the NBA. Do you anticipate any difference or any changes coming in after the All-Star break?
Yeah, I mean, you never know. I mean, it's I would say this. There's so many great things about being involved in this league, having a chance to coach in this league. I don't take any of that for granted. And yet I would also say this: adapting to change, accepting change, and being able to move on quickly, be it a coach getting fired, a player getting traded, you know, whatever it is, it's a big part of this league. And it's hard, you know, you get close with people, you work closely with people, but you know, it's also, it's the nature of this profession and this game. So I do think that you have to have that mentality is coaches leave, players are traded, new guys come in, and you got to hit it running. And especially again, with a condensed schedule is, you know, for any team, you know, like what Atlanta's going through, you know, what Minnesota's going through, you know, those things happen and you have to be able to deal with it.
Rob Parks, 48minutes.com.
Hey, Coach, how you doing? So kind of piggybacking on Alex's question, I know we talked about Lloyd Pierce getting fired 2 days ago. You gave like a nice answer on that. Give me your thoughts on them hiring Nate McMillan as interim coach.
Well, Nate's a great coach. You know, Nate was he was a terrific coach in Seattle. He was a terrific coach in Portland. He did a great job in Indiana. His teams are always prepared, and they play a lot like he did. Tough, hard-nosed, intelligent basketball. So you know, I think a lot like Rick Carlisle had the great quote, bittersweet. I have good friendships with both Lloyd and Nate. I know Nate's very upset, was very upset. I mean, he was vocal about it that Lloyd got let go. So I am happy for him and his staff. But, you know, like I said, the Lloyd Pierce firing was, you know, you can't do a rebuild and then all of a sudden say 2 years in, like they should be winning more. When you look at the injuries they've had over the last couple of years, it's crazy to me. So.
Okay, we have time for one more. Roy Perry, Orlando Sentinel.
Steve, just with Evan out, and I assume James is also out, you know, how will you start the lineup, and you know, what will your rotations look like for tonight's game? Yeah,
well, Roy, the 2 and the 3 are pretty easy because we only have 1, 2, and 1, 3. So that's those guys are so Dwayne and T. Ross will be starting at the wings. You know, look, we're gonna, you know, we have some different things we're gonna do. It's gonna depending on how, you know, who plays for them, how the game is going. Actually, we're getting pretty adaptable at this. We've done it, but the one thing, we don't have a game for a while, so we can play guys bigger minutes, you know, and if we have to do that, we will. But you know, we're gonna dress 10 guys tonight and they'll all play.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone.